Welcome to Do the Dang Thing podcast with Chrissi, the podcast that's like having a personal action-taking coach in your pocket, giving you bite-sized tips and small mindset shifts every week. I'm your host, Chrissi. I'm a network marketer turned action-taking coach for business owners who grew her businesses while holding down a successful career in aviation. I'm on a mission to help you fit your business into your everyday life because I believe you are capable of doing some pretty amazing things no matter how chaotic your life is. Consider me your no-nonsense business BFF, helping you learn how to get it all done quicker, easier, and with way less mental drama. Join me here on the podcast each week where we'll chat everything from systems to help you fit your business into real life, to business tips, plus time management hacks, mindset shifts to help you find the courage to take that next step in your business, and real life experts to inspire and empower you to go after your goals. Let's go, CEO. We have work to do. Grab your favorite cup of coffee or wine, no judgment here, and get ready to ditch those inner mean girl thoughts ringing in the back of your head so you can embrace your inner badass and go do the dang thing. Welcome back to the Do the Dang Thing podcast. Today, I am thrilled to have Candace with us, a former teacher turned multi-passionate entrepreneur and stay-at-home mom. Candace manages podcasts and runs Willow and Wren, a thriving wholesale business. She's also the voice behind Better Brave podcast, which has published over 160 episodes. Like, holy cow, that's a lot of episodes. And they're all aimed at empowering entrepreneurs. Candace, it's so great to have you here. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Oh my gosh, what a great way to start off my morning.
Always fun. We were just talking about how it's going to be nice here in Dallas today, and Candace was all happy because it's going to be 40 degrees in Minnesota. I don't know how you do it.
The sun is shining and Minnesotans are super happy today. Yeah.
I love it. So, Candace, I would love to hear about your journey from education to entrepreneurship. That's quite the pivot. And was like your initial spark kind of to lead you to podcasting or something else?
Yeah, for sure. So I really went into teaching thinking that I would do that until I retired. Like there was never a thought that I wouldn't teach until I had my own kids, and I have 3 of them. They're almost 10, 9, and 7 now. They all have birthdays coming up, but at the time it was one after the other that I had them, and that's when I realized when I came home from teaching that I was crashing and I was taking a nap and I needed alone time. And that was fine when it was just me, and then it was me and my husband, but he's also a teacher, and it was weird to me that he didn't need that and I did. And it just did not feel good to me then once I started having my own kids, because I felt like they were getting my leftovers. There was nothing about teaching that I hated. I never dreaded going. It just became more and more unaligned because my life goal, I guess, was to be a mom. And I felt like I wasn't able to show up for my own kids in the way that I wanted to. And it just really felt crummy to me that every day they were just getting like what was left of me. And I poured into all my students every day instead of my own kids. So it took a while to make the change. I like to say that because I think in our fast-paced social media highlight reel world, we think things happen instantly. This was probably 3 years of me really thinking like, you having that first initial thought, and then you like, nah, you brush it away, and then you have it again. But what happened was I also had felt kind of isolated and lonely with my postpartum journey. Felt like people weren't really talking about what I was going through, and I had pretty normal things, but it just felt like if it wasn't traumatic, it wasn't being talked about. So I really felt isolated and alone. That's kind of where the podcast came into play, because I had started in a network marketing business. Actually, I'm not with it anymore, but it's kind of funny. I hear that might be people's gateway drug, so to speak, into entrepreneurship so often. And especially for teachers, because you really just don't know what else could you do with your teaching license. There's not much. And so you think you have no options. So I joined this wellness community. It was pretty awesome. My coach was having us read personal development. So it was my first time of opening my mindset. And it was like, boom, explosion. Like what? I can choose to think differently. I can, that type of thing was just really eye-opening. And so I started to stretch my comfort zone, and I started coaching myself and running accountability groups, and I loved it. And it was for other moms. That's when the podcast came into play, because I was like, I just want to give a voice to us that are feeling like this, to mothers that are feeling like this. So that's really where it started, was trying to have free value for them every week, showing up for them every week. And so I was still teaching during that. And it is totally vamped into entrepreneurship and things like that, because that's just like where my heart really lies. But yeah, it was tough conversations with my spouse to end up leaving the classroom. And it started as a leave of absence that my school granted. So it was kind of like that safety net, so to speak. So those were some of the moving parts. But yeah, here we are. And podcasting has really been the thing throughout all that time. It's been almost 4 years now of podcasting, where I look back and all the pivots, the burnout, crazy things that I was doing and trying to figure out who am I, what's next. Podcasting was the thing that like never went away. It was always the thing that was so fun to me that I just was able to show up throughout the whole time. And then that's how you end up with, over 100 and whatever, 60 some episodes, because you just kept showing up. And so that's was like, I want to give people more of a voice, and through podcasting is how I'm going to do it.
I love that. So I actually had my gateway drug in network marketing as well.
Oh
So
my
I love
gosh.
that you say that. And as a fellow, I'm a federal government employee, but when you work in government, people don't talk about like pivoting careers. Like you
Mhm,
are, I love that you mentioned that. Oh, I thought I was going to be a teacher until I retired. And like
mhm.
that is the standard, the gold standard. Like it is very rare to see someone quit or transition jobs or leave the agency that I work for just because it's not talked about. It's not something
Right.
that's normal. So you are so brave to do that transition. Did it align with maybe like COVID and leaves of absence then?
It was right after it, but I think COVID was the time where like we were forced to slow down because we got sent home. And so my husband and I were home with our little kids, and we were like, okay, well, we're kind of, outside of the scariness of the pandemic, we're thriving right now in this slow pace. And that's what sparked some of those big conversations of like, hey, I really don't know what I'm going to do next. There's a lot of changes, but also I think I need to try this. And I also, part of it is slowing down. Like I can run errands during the day. I can do all those things that we felt like we were sprinting around after school, and then like eat, sleep, repeat, like bathe the kids, feed the kids, put them to bed, repeat, repeat, repeat. And it doesn't feel like that anymore. So I think that's the biggest thing that, was an impact on my family and was the driving force in that decision. And that conversation, was really what changed things.
That's so great. As you made this transition, were there any mindset hurdles that you needed to overcome?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I think, well, an identity crisis for one, you look back and everything is so clear, but like you're so close to it when you're in it that you're like, no, I don't think that's it. But I realized that a year out of the classroom, and I am 3 full years out now to give you a timeline, a year out of the classroom, when people ask you that question of, oh, what do you do? I was still saying that I was used to teach. That's how I was answering it. So there was this big identity shift in me that I had to sort of, I kind of like, I like to visualize. So I think of it as like stepping into a new pair of shoes. Like I needed to put on shoes, new shoes, and start saying, even though I didn't feel like I, for me, it was like this hang up of like, there's this bar of expectation or this bar that I need to reach. I need to publish so many episodes. I need to have so many clients. I need to reach this amount of money. All these different things in my head that I was telling myself I had to reach before I could say I was an entrepreneur, before I could say I'm a podcaster and, podcast mentor. It was that type of feeling that I had to overcome, and one day just say, I am done answering that question as a past tense version of myself. I am now answering it as present tense and even future tense, because that is, that's how the world is going to like deliver you the new things in your life. So what I was getting was people asking me to come sub at school, which makes sense because I kept saying that I used to teach. Well, what am I going to get? I'm going to get that. So now there's just there had to have been a big shift. And so now I try to make sure that I answer that question as a future tense or at least present tense. So I would say that for sure. And if that's somebody that's starting out on something new, like it can feel really uncomfortable, but starting to talk about yourself in that new light is major, major for your transformation, for your growth, for your success.
What a great point. When I go to networking events, everyone's like, "What do you do?" "Oh, I'm an air traffic controller
Mhm.
and I'm also blah blah blah." But to go and actually step into, I'm a mindset coach for business owners.
Hmm.
Probably the first time I went to a networking event and just said that, I felt very uncomfortable.
Yes.
So I'd definitely add like being uncomfortable in that and for it to feel weird at first.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, it does. Yes.
Absolutely. For my listeners that are business owners that are obviously enjoying listening to podcasts, why do you think podcasts should be part of their growth strategy?
It's a chance for you to have long form content. It's searchable. It's different than a social media post. It's there forever. And people can use SEO to find you. And it just gives you a different way for people to find you. The other thing is having a podcast and doing solo episodes and speaking to other people in your field, like we're doing right now. It positions you as an expert. It builds your authority. It also builds your own confidence because now you're forced to speak about what you do. And with practice and with repetition, you will by default get better and better at that. So those pieces alone are really huge. It also can be a great marketing tool if you give it some thought as to, I have this free offer, I have this paid offer. What could I speak about in solo episodes that I could highlight my experiences, knowledge, and expertise in this category, direct people to my free offer. Now I have them in my email list. Now I have them, in my community and off of social media in a place that I can control and I can facilitate it. It's just a huge game changer in your business.
Absolutely. I can almost guarantee that there are going to be some of my listeners that are thinking about starting their own show but really feel hesitant. What is maybe step number one that they can take to get started?
I would say dabble in guesting. It's very easy to just make a post and list like three specific things that you would love to talk about, two or three specific things. The more specific you can be, the easier it is for a podcast host like us. Go to Threads. That's been like, I don't know what is going on over there, but I think that's where we met. And that's just been a game changer as far as like finding a podcasting community. It's very easy to search like podcast threads, podcasters. And when I scroll and I see something really specific, I might be like, "Ooh, I need that person on my show." So put that out into the world. You also don't know if like a friend of yours is going to see it and then they're going to say, "Oh, well, you didn't know, but I know this person and they're looking for this." And all these connections can happen. So I would say dabble in guesting because then you get to have like a chance at it and feel it out. But if you're really serious about starting your own, don't overcomplicate the tech. If you go to Google, it's awesome, but it also will be overwhelming and the vocabulary will be like a new language. And you really don't need to know all of that to begin with. Basically, you order a mic, you figure out what can you record on. We're just on Zoom right now recording, and you don't need an expensive mic. I just have like a $40 one from Amazon. And then you can record on Zoom, which we're doing, or there's free things like with audio, there's Audacity, but I have a free setup guide that Chrissy's going to link in the show notes for us. So it has all this in there, but it's can be very cost efficient and very, most of it can even be free. And then, so the mic, what you're going to record on, and then you need a hosting platform. That's just a quick Google search, but I use Buzzsprout. That's just for audio. So if you want video too, you can do that. But yeah, you really don't need much more than that. You just need to be able to record and then get it out to the platforms. So um, start simple. You don't need to know how to edit. You don't need to let any of that hang you up. You don't need to have musical intro that, the professionals have. Start where you're at, and then you can add those things as you get more comfortable.
Actually, when I started my podcast, I was like, this is the biggest secret ever of like, this actually really is easy. Like, I had
Easy.
blocked out like 4 hours to figure out how to do it all, and I was done in 45 minutes.
Yes. Yes, it can be so simple. And I'm passionate about this piece because I was someone who, for a year, I would Google and then I'd get overwhelmed and I'd stop. And then I ordered a mic and then it sat in a box for 3 months because the doubt was creeping in. And then it was just one day where I hit record. And when you hit record, you're going to learn so much more than you do doing anything else, any research or anything, because you just are going to figure out each next step. And then you'll know what specifically to Google instead of just Googling all of it, which is really overwhelming. So yeah, just one step at a time. It can be very simple and it does not need to take more than, like you said, like an hour tops. You can have it set up and ready to go.
I love that. So you talked about when you're on Threads or even on social media to have three very specific topics to chat about. And that's actually how I asked you to be on the podcast. You had a thread and you said, if you're looking for podcast guests, I could talk on A, B, or C. And I was like,
Yes.
well, B is really pertinent to my audience. Can you come on my podcast? And it was literally just that simple. So
Hmm.
besides that, and I want to shout out, you have, I don't remember what it was called, but it was like $9 to go
Yes.
on, and it gives you like the template to have
Yes.
your 3 shows ready or your 3 topics ready and like a chart to keep track of who you've pitched to. What is that called?
Yes. Oh, it's like a guesting bundle, I call it. It's $7, super small, but it's 3 resources in there. It's a media sheet. So that's just like a one-page thing that you could either you fill in. And yes, I have you prompted like what to put in it, things you talk about, questions a host could ask you, a tiny little bio, a picture of yourself, that type of thing. You can use it to post. You could take that and post it on your social media so people could see it. And you can also use that to email it to potential shows that you've listened to and you're like, I would just love to guest on your show. I think I have a lot of value to give. And so there's also a tracker in there because when you start this, it's kind of a ripple effect of, oh, I met Chrissi and then I met someone else and I listened to Candace's show and then she had a podcast host on her show. And so put all of those people, all of their shows into this tracker. And then I have different tabs to say, like, have you sent them a message and pitched yourself? Where are you in that conversation? Just so that you can follow up, because follow up is key as well. How many times you get an email or a DM and like you think you're going to respond to it, but you're like, I'll remember later, and then you don't. So follow up like a week later or a couple days later and say, hey, did you get that? Because a lot of times that is just really key in just how the world works. But yeah, it's a great place to start. It can really get you in front of new audiences and serve new audiences. My only thing with that is make sure like there is some alignment, right, in you and the host, because if there isn't, then it kind of ends up being a waste of time for both parties. And the way you can just know if there's alignment is you can listen to their show. So definitely don't pitch someone before you've listened to their show, because I'm sure you get pitches too, but it's really easy to catch like a copy paste, or like you listen to like 5 minutes of one episode and you drop that, but you don't know anything else about it because your whole pitch is unaligned with like anything that I have guests on. So just do your homework. Or there's people that do this for a job. Like I do this as a service one-on-one with my clients, where I can find them the shows and kind of do that legwork for them and then help them prep, their speaking points and stuff. But there's other people out there too. Like if you're not connecting with me, there will be someone you connect with that can help with that. So if you are in a place where you're like, well, that's awesome, but I don't have time for that, there's people that do that for a service too.
I love that. I thought that that bundle was so great because it got you to a place where you had all the moving pieces that a
Mhm.
podcast host is going to ask for drafted and ready to go. So it really takes
Yes.
away that mindset, that overwhelm of like, oh, I can't go pitch them because they need a bio or they need this or they need a
Yep.
headshot. Like it's all drafted and ready to go. And it's
Yes.
just, you might need to make some tweaks here or there, but for the
Hmm.
most part, the legwork is done and that
Yes.
tracker is amazing. So,
Yes.
uh, that
And
also,
honestly,
oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, and honestly, if you do that media sheet alone, it's going to make you think of what specific topics you could talk about. It's going to make you give some thought to that, because we don't want to get on and guest and then talk about everything under the sun. It's not going to convert very well. People aren't going to go to your freebie or whatever that you're going to send them to. As if you can talk about like one specific thing, it's going to go a lot longer. So if you do that legwork of what will I talk about? How does it relate to my offers and what I'm doing and what I can serve people with? And even create a media sheet, you're going to be 90% ahead of everybody else that wants to guest. You're just, that alone is just going to set you apart, because most people don't think to do that ahead of time.
Absolutely. And I want to speak, this is kind of off topic just a little bit, but Candace, that lead magnet that you have there is so smart. I'm seeing a major shift in the way that I consume content, the way that my audience consumes content, that we are no longer necessarily looking for free. Free resources are great, especially when you're first getting started, but I feel like everyone and their mom has put out a PDF for free and I will download them and then I never touch them. But there was something about spending $7. First of all, I didn't know you before that. I saw someone
Yes.
that I know guesting on your podcast, and I went and checked out your profile, and you immediately answered a question that I have of like, how do you get more guest spots on podcasts? And I opened it, and you're like, comment this word. I commented it, and I went, and that's like in the same moment. I bought that bundle for $7 because I was like, well, it's not free, but if I spend $7, I'm probably going to use it and I'm probably going to get some sort of transformation out of it. And so I think we really are moving into that 7 to 9 to $15 range of resources as a lead magnet to build your email list.
Yeah, it's funny that even just a little dollar amount, there's more skin in the game because I'm the same exact way. And I think that's why I position that as that because it's like way too easy to just click download for free, but you know it's for free. So then you can just delete that email later when you're like, never mind. So yeah, I agree. Don't be shy about putting something down for a couple bucks because no, you're not, I'm not like getting rich off that. It probably cost me more to keep those automations going than the actual dollars that are coming in from that. But yes, it gets that skin in the game for that person and hopefully does create some action out of it for them. Yes, for sure.
So let's transition just a little bit and talk a little bit about mindset because that's what we talk about a lot here on the Do the Dang Thing podcast. Because it's one thing to know what to do, and it's another thing to actually go out and do it. So you already kind of addressed a couple of mindset shifts that you had to have to get where you are on your entrepreneurial journey. What about for podcasting specifically?
There's a few things that are really, really common. I've gone through them, my clients have gone through them, but it's one is thinking that you're going to run out of things to say. You almost have to have a little bit of trust there, that a little bit of faith that you will not. Life will keep on lifing. And so you will always have stories to share, and you can turn that into tying into your knowledge and expertise and your teaching moments through those stories. You can repeat what you have done in the past. So just because I've done an episode on podcast guesting doesn't mean I'm never going to do one again, because I'm going to say it in a new way. 6 months later, I might have different thoughts about it, right? You continually are learning in entrepreneurship and creating and having new experiences. So one is having faith in yourself that you indeed will not run out of things to say. I thought I would too. Here we are. We're 160 episodes in. We're not. There's no shortage. That will come. The other piece is thinking, and I still go through this, but the whole, oh my gosh, who am I to be talking about this? Yes, of course. Let's just admit there are people that know more than you. There are always going to be people that know more than you. Your clients are not looking for that person. They need you to get them where you are. That makes you the expert for your clients because that's all that you're helping them do is to get where you are. And even that, I've had lots of clients that surpass me. So it's like, that's great. And you don't need to get so tied up into who am I to be talking about this? I shouldn't be talking about this. You have your own set of knowledge. And yes, you should be talking about this because someone is literally waiting for your take, your spin on it. That's the other piece. There's abundance. This is a market where, yes, there's tons of podcasts, but also most of them, it's like 90 some percent quit before they get to episode 10. So if you can stay in the game, there are people waiting for your take on things. There's so many people in the world. There's enough for all of us. That's why I love having guests on, even if they do the same or similar things to me. I'm not one that says you can't be on my show because we do the same thing. I don't think any of us do the same thing because I go about things differently because of my experiences. You go about things differently. So there are people for you, for me, for all of us, and they're waiting for your take, your stories, your experience, and the way you do it. So those would be some of the first initial things. And with all of that being said, the first thing I tell people to do if you're going to start your podcasting journey, you better be doing personal development because you have got to keep your mind in a positive place. And that doesn't mean hours a day, but 5 pages of a book, a couple minutes of an audible surrounded about or on personal development and how you're thinking, huge game changer. Have to be doing it.
Yes, absolutely. I think business ownership is professional development with a paycheck for sure.
Yes.
And you always need to, like, even coaches need coaches. I have my coach. I encourage all of my clients to always have a coach. If it's not me, go find someone else and make sure that you're always keeping your mindset in check because our brains are sneaky little boogers. They love to tell us that we don't know enough, we're not good enough, we don't look good in those jeans. Like it has all the things to say all the time, and we don't even really realize what it's doing. And sometimes it really does, like you said earlier, you're so into whatever it is that you're working on that having an outside perspective go, no, actually, what you're trying to say is really valuable. Let's make this little tweak, or let's do this just a little
Yes.
bit differently, or have you thought about this? So definitely a business bestie, a coach, someone in your pocket to help you. And I mean, there's a million and one podcasts out there about mindset. Keep listening. If that's the only thing that
Mm-hmm.
you can do, keep listening. And use those
Yes.
free resources as a lever so you can make more revenue to go out and pay for the professional development. Because again, you get so much more out of it when you have a little bit of grit in the game.
Oh my gosh, I have never had an experience where I have hired a coach and haven't had an inflow of money come in or clients signed. It's like you think that money is just like an expense and it's not coming back to you. No, no, no. Spent like that in the right place, it's coming back, and it's probably coming back 2x, 3x. You just don't know. But having, like you said, a third party involved, a coach, a mentor, it is a game changer. And whatever capacity you can have them in, whether it's a one-off call to get you through the month, whatever, do it. Start wherever you can, because like you're right, it just speeds things up so much. And yeah, you're so close to things. We've already said this, that you can't see it. Somebody else outside, they're like, why don't you just do this? Or it is mind-boggling how quick they can pinpoint it. Usually, if you're with an aligned person that kind of understands you, it's just really impactful.
Yeah, I've had quite a few people say to me, like, oh, I can't afford to join the Do the Dang Thing membership because it's too expensive. And I was like, give me 60 days. If you
Yeah.
don't get your return on investment, your two
Hmm.
months of, course fees back in 60 days, I'm going to be absolutely shocked. Come to Golfs, do the work, and I
Yes.
can guarantee you, you are going to at least 2x your income. I had a client back in August that she didn't even have a business yet, and she joined, started her business, and she 10x'd her
Oh
income
my gosh. Yeah.
versus her investment by November. She was like, I'm fully booked out. I don't have any more room in my schedule. And now we're working on how do you scale this a little bit.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Love
So,
it.
okay. So podcasting, this is kind of my last question. So podcasting, like any business, comes with highs and lows. Can you share a time when things didn't quite go as you had expected and how you navigated through that? What mindset shifts that you had, that sort of thing?
Mm. I think one is you start a podcast and you just think that people are going to come listen to it. It's like the movie Field of Dreams, if you've seen that, or like if you build it, they will come. No, no, that is not how it happens. So you really, to counteract that, you need to share about it. You need to tell people about the podcast, put it on social media, share about it with your email list if you have one. If you don't have one, take a step to starting one. That's an important, I think, business tool to have an email list. If your social media gets deleted or banned, like the US almost got TikTok banned, then it's gone. So, but yeah, it's definitely need to share about it. You need to think about SEO in your show notes. You can go to ChatGPT, tell them about your podcast, ask ChatGPT, what do you need to know to write me really great SEO show notes for this episode that's about blah, blah, blah. You'll be shocked as to how helpful that is. So there's tools that you can use if you're like, oh gosh, another thing I need to know. I don't even know what SEO is. Uh, Use it to help create your titles, use it to help, create your show notes. Think about your title of your podcast. You want that to give people a little bit of an indication of what they might be expecting to see. You want it to be searchable. All those pieces can go a long way in helping people find your show. So that's definitely one of, just posting or hitting publish and thinking, great, the people will come. No, you have to be ready to tell people about it. And that can be scary in the beginning. Sometimes you just want to do it and like not have people know, because then if you fall flat on your face, then no one will know. But the thing is, we all are going to stumble. We all are going to fall flat on our face, and it's okay. And your people will actually appreciate you sharing those moments, because it's going to be relatable, and it's going to let them see that they can also do it and they can succeed, and they're going to appreciate seeing the growth from the beginning to the end. Like, you can go back to my first episodes. They're not edited. They had no script. It was just inspired messy action, and I left them there because I want them to be there. I want people to know where I started and where I came, where I am now. So
It is
definitely
so
that.
funny that you mentioned that because last week I literally went on my website and I took down every single post I had about my podcast because I was like, this is not SEO. And if you're like, what the heck is SEO? Search engine optimization,
Mhm.
as in where you land on Google. It had no SEO. It was just a copy of the show notes, basically. It was messy. It was wrong. Like I had no idea what I was doing as far as blog posts go that match with the podcast episodes or how to like advertise the episodes. And so even though I'm 40 episodes in, I think this
Hmm.
is episode number 40 actually. Um, I'm still learning as I go, and like
Yes.
it's okay to just put it all out there and go, "Oh, that's not quite working," and
Yeah.
tweak it later on the back end. Like,
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like last end of 2024, I went through all of my show notes. Literally spent a couple of days because that time of year things kind of slow down and people are taking holidays. So I'm like, I'm gonna do this. So I went back through 150 episodes, literally from day one, updated all the show notes because I didn't know SEO in my first 100 episodes. I didn't even know what that was. So I was just typing whatever I thought. And some things I didn't even put show notes in. I just had like a sentence. So I went back through because I do think it is worthwhile. But like, don't let that be your hang up in the beginning if you don't have time for that. But yes, you can make those pivots. Once you learn something, now you can adjust it. So I adjusted it. I changed the titles. I changed the show notes because I hope now that if people are searching for things, that those things pop up. So it is worth your time definitely to put some thought into that and update it. If you're like you and me, then we didn't have it in the beginning, go back and change it. Podcasts can be edited, like show notes, titles, even the name of your show, the cover art of your show, all of that can be changed. So don't think that you're married to that in the beginning. Like you can go back and change it as much as you want.
absolutely. Okay, before we wrap up, Candace, I always ask my guests to share one thing, one action piece that listeners can go out and do today. So, what's one action step that you'd like to leave them with?
We talked about a lot of things, but I think since we're on the podcasting topic, if you're serious about possibly getting a podcast started, I say post today about the 2 or 3 specific topics that you would love to talk about onto your social media platforms and even to your email list. Take that little step and put that out into the world, the universe, so that that ball starts rolling, that momentum starts rolling of getting some guesting spots going and dabbling in that field. I think that's a really small, easy step, but also a big one in jumping into that new identity of I can speak to my business and my experience and my knowledge. I do have that authority and I'm going to, be confident in myself and put those reps in and put that out there.
I love that. Candace, thank you so much for coming on today. Where can our listeners connect with you online and learn more about working with you?
Sure. I'm over on Instagram and Threads at Candace Dudley, my name. And then my website is my name as well, CandaceDudley.com. So pretty easy.
I love that. And you have a free resource for them.
Yeah,
And
I
that
have.
$7 resource that we
Oh,
talked about.
yes, for sure. Go get that. The free one is a podcast setup guide. So it's everything that I did for my own show. Obviously, there's other ways to do it, but at least that this one resource will help you get moving in the right direction. It's from the start to basically publishing your first episode. So that should be really helpful. And then that guesting bundle too. It's got a lot of great things in there about pitching yourself, the media sheet, and then that tracker.
I love that so much. Whether you want to go guest or you want to start your own podcast, both are such a great way to grow your audience, to grow your network, to get your expertise out there in longer than a 60-second reel.
Yes.
So, Candace, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all of your knowledge, your journey. I'm sure that this episode was exactly what some of our listeners needed to hear in order to take that first step to start their podcast. So, thank you so much for your inspiration and your expertise. Until next time, keep on doing the dang thing. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Do the Dang Thing podcast with Chrissi Sperduto. If you know someone that could benefit from today's chat, please send this episode their way and be sure to leave a rating and a review so more business owners can find the podcast and be inspired to take action on their goals. Also, I love to see what you're doing while you listen. Share what you're up to while you listen to today's episode and tag me in your stories at Chrissi Sperduto for a shout out. If you'd like to explore more resources like my free monthly coaching call and learn how we can work together through one-on-one coaching or the Do the Dang Thing membership, head to www.chrissisperduto.com. Please always remember that you are not alone in this adventure. I am always rooting for you, bestie. Until next time, keep on doing the dang thing. Bye.